Hello again, everyone! Today we'll be doing yet another episode of the D-Rank Warriors, and today's Pokemon was going to be Scrafty. So Scrafty is actually a rather interesting Pokemon because just like Pangoro, it's a Dark type on the Fighting type that used to be in Gen 5 one of the best Pokemon on Fighting, hands down, and it was because of its Psychic immunity and its ability to set up on those threats that would just constantly throw out moves against you that were the Psychic type, and it was just really good and solid in general. But then Gen 6 came along and Fairy types were introduced. And Fairy coverage was introduced to most of the same Psychic types that Scrafty used to wall. And then new Pokemon started becoming more threatening because of their Psychic typing, like Dehancey, like Gardevoir, for example. Because before, it didn't care for Gardevoir, but now Gardevoir was one of its biggest threats. And because of the Fairy typing in general, Scrafty just kind of lost its luster on fighting. Sure, it's still got its Psychic immunity, which is undeniably very good for the type, but it just cannot pull its weight against the Fairy-laden meta, which is why Toxicroak and Lucario are ranked above it, because they deal with those matchups, which are way more prevalent and way easier to deal with, and they can also hold their weight with a few other options. While Scrafty, while a decent setup sweeper, is just outclassed by some of the other setup sweepers the type has, like Holucha, Keldeo, and even Toxicroak to an extent, and Como as well. So, as a setup sweeper, it's not that good because it only does really good in the matchups that fighting should already win, like Steel and Dark. It does tremendously well in, but fighting should already be winning those matchups regardless. So Scrafty just feels like a little bit of overkill if you're trying to predict the matchup, but it can also still do work versus Psychic, which is undeniable, just like Pangoro. It still can do work versus Psychic, but it has to be careful because most Psychic types do have a Fairy move on the axis. Like Indeedee and Gardevoir are big examples, because they both have Fairy moves, and Hatterene is also like a major threat to Scrafty, so you have to be careful with that. But without further ado, let's get on to the sets. So Scrafty's main set is going to be a setup set with Leftovers and Shedskin. Shedskin is the move of use instead of Moxie, because while Moxie is pretty good for snowballing, Shedskin is actually a low-key broken ability because of how it's able to possibly just get rid of status completely, which is something that fighting doesn't actually have a lot of. There's not a lot of status immunity that fighting has, and a Pokemon that actually has access to that is pretty good, especially if it's a setup sweeper. So that way it can set up in the face of Toxapex, for example, and not even have to worry about getting Scald Burn, because it could just potentially just get rid of it completely. Now, granted, it is still RNG if you get it or not, but the point of the matter is, you can basically set up in front of walls, and you can potentially just not have to worry about their status elements at all. And that's pretty good. I mean, you still die to Toxapex because of haze and stuff, but not having to worry about Scald Burns or getting toxic by like a random ass Pokemon, not having to worry about that is actually great, and it's also good against stuff like Vileplume at X4, because then you can just potentially wear off whatever that move was. So it's pretty good in that regard. Moxie can still be used if you really want, but I feel like Shedskin is definitely the superior ability, thanks to its ability to just make certain walls really useless against it, like Galarian Corsola, for example. Galarian Corsola can't do a thing against this thing. Well, it can still do a thing, but it's not as effective against it, especially if it tries to burn it. It just won't work as well. But yeah, so Scrafty's main moveset has Dragon Dance, Knock Off, and Drain Punch as your main moves. You're gonna have your Stabs and your Dragon Dance. And for the fourth slot, you can run a multitude of things. You could run another setup move with Bulk Up, which allows you to like really snowball. Or you could run a coverage move like Zen Headbutt, like what I have for Poison types, because Poison types are very annoying. And you can run Thunder Punch as well. There's a couple of other moves you can run, like Ice Punch and Iron Head, but I mainly think Zen Headbutt's going to help me the most on my team since I don't have Glade. And like I said, Bulk Up is also a viable option, but I don't want to use it on the team that I have right now, which is currently this. So it's basically the Screens team, because Screens will definitely help Scrafty out a lot with getting set up. And also we'll be running not Scarf Terrakion this time, but we're going to be running a Rock Polish set, because I've been hearing good things about this set as of recent, so I'm going to try it out and see how it goes. I feel like I should use a weakness berry on this thing, but I don't know which one I want to use yet. So we're just going to test out with Heartstone for now and see how it goes. But Hawlucha is also still here with the same set, Keldeo is still here with the same set. This team is basically just attack of the setup sweepers for all intents and purposes. Virizion gets up those screens and we just let one of our super dangerous sweepers just let it rip. But yeah, that's how this team is supposed to function, and we will head into a match. So the first type we run into is water. Now water is actually going to be pretty decently challenging MU, especially this one because it has Mantine plus Pelipper. So it's going to be pretty challenging to actually KO those two Pokemon, but we'll try our best. So he sends out Pelipper, we put in Rocks. He uses Weather Ball, and that OHKOs me, so that definitely means he specs. So we'll just take the time to set up screens right now. Sends out Pex. We taunt that because we do not want to deal with anything Pex is trying to give us right now. Yep, he tries to Toxic us. We can send out Scrafty now and he can start doing work. But I think we should send out... Nah, we'll send out Scrafty. Because, like I said, Scrafty doesn't have to worry about getting destroyed by that. Alright, so we got burned, but it's fine. Because we can get rid of his, Oh, he's not leftovers. That's weird. Oh, he's Rocky Helmet. That's strange. But eventually we'll get this thing off of us. We don't have to worry about it too much. So we can just keep setting up in front of him. Because that's what Scrafty can do. We'll keep setting up. Actually, you know what, we'll use Zen Headbutt this turn. Zen Headbutt did not do anything. But the burn is gone. And now we can continue wreaking havoc. So he uses Toxic. That's obviously not going to last. Toxapex is gone. And yeah, see, that's why Shudskin can actually be potentially good. It's kind of situational, but it's still better than Moxie in that situation. Alright, Knockoff should kill the Spec set at this point. Oh, it did not. That's sad. I think what we might want to do here is try and threaten out as many Pokemon as possible with Hawlucha. And then afterwards, we can deal serious damage with Virizion. But yeah, I think right now we just want to threaten things out with Hawlucha. Because we just need Pelipper to die this turn. Actually, no, yeah, Pelipper was dead regardless. Because unless Mantine is defog, we should be able to take things on just fine. Unfortunately, we miss. Hopefully he didn't do anything weird there. Okay, yeah, he did. Acrobatics should kill Gyarados here. It does. No, we're +1, so we're not killing anything. We're gonna close combat here. Seismitoad does not die. So Rain is basically gone at this point. Just want to make that clear. So we don't have to worry about it at all. Oh, Heavy Duty Boots Mantine? Yep, we're taunting that. Because that is most certainly defog. And yeah, he's gonna start spamming stuff against me. But we won't care, because we're Keldeo. And yeah, that's the game. So, Scrafty played a pretty big role in that match because it basically allowed Toxapex to get. Funnily enough, Toxapex kind of got walled there, but not really, because it still did get the burn, and we didn't get Shedskin for a while. But Shedskin, when it eventually did kick in, put in work and did exactly what we needed to do. So yeah, that's an example of how Shedskin is just very good. And we'll do one more match just to keep this video short and simple, because Scrafty really isn't that complex of a Pokemon to really make a long video about. Maybe we'll get Psychic this time around, so I can show how decent it is in that MU. This game is taking quite a while to come up, but it should be fine. But yeah, after using fighting for quite a while during Gen 8, with testing all these D-rank Pokemon, I found out that the type is actually not that terrible. Sure, it's still like not like highly diverse as I would like it to be, but it's definitely not the worst. And definitely far better than I thought it was initially. So I think I might start using fighting more this gen, but we'll see how that goes. Because, for example, I kinda lose against this type because of Whimsicott, and especially if the opponent knows what they're doing, this Pokemon will 6-0 my entire team, so we're gonna have to try and play this one out differently. Also, Celebi's really obnoxious, but we do have Scrafty, who helps out a little bit, assuming it doesn't have Dazzling Blade, of course. Alright, Rotom comes out. That is definitely Specs. So we're going to send out Virizion and start putting up screens. Also, we're immune to any prankster shenanigans that Whimsicott tries to pull up. Oh? Alright, well, for some reason, he decided to defog there. Which is quite a strange move, to be honest. I'll taunt this turn, so we can catch the Whimsicott. Yeah, we're not dealing with that. Light Screen, that won't kill me because we're Virizion. We'll put up a Reflect too. Now we're going to spam Taunt again because we don't want to deal with it. Whimsicott's gonna do her thing here. Probably should have spammed Light Screen. My bad. We are faster than him though. Yeah, this is what I'm talking about though. Because he's default Whimsicott, I actually can't deal with a lot of his stuff. Alright, well for some reason he decided to keep his Whimsicott in, so that makes this a little bit easier for me. I don't even need to like risk a Lucha here. I can just switch into Keldeo. Alright, so we don't know what Celebi is yet. We're gonna think it's Psychic. Alright, Psychic was used. Got Dragon Dance here. Knock off. Moves the specs and lowers its power. Also kills. Nice. I think he might be Scarf, and he probably is Dazzling Gleam. So we're gonna just not deal with that real quick. Yeah, he's Scarf Dazzling Gleam. Alright, this is pretty hard to play around, but yeah, no, this is really hard. Actually, he did kill off his one thing. So hopefully we lift this stats on bullying. Alright. Send out Sylvie again. That's unfortunate. Alright, we live. Stone Edge should hopefully kill. It does not kill. Unfortunate. So yeah, as I said, that matchup is really, really rough. Can't really win that because of this disgusting Whimsicott, and the fact that this Celebi just happens to be Choice Scarf, which absolutely eviscerates my team. I couldn't get screens up once, and even trying to like win with Hawlucha is like super difficult because like you have to kill Ferrothor because he has Gyro Ball here. So you have to like get a gritty Sword Stance and then you can win, but it's pretty hard to play. I think I could have played it better, but fortunately it was just no way for me to do that. But yeah, SCRAFTY did serve a pretty good role there because he could have just kept spamming Psychic moves and totally won the game, but because of SCRAFTY he wasn't able to do that, and that's pretty good. So I think that would end the episode, because that just pretty much shows why SCRAFTY is good on fighting teams. So, well, actually it's useful, but it's D rank for a lot of reasons. Because it's useless versus Psychic, completely. You just might as well forfeit if you have it on your team. Wait, did I say versus Psychic? I meant Fairy. Anyway, versus Fairy, it's bad. Versus anything with like a really strong Fairy type, like Psychic, for example, it's really bad. Basically, if there's a Fairy present in like any part of the team, the Pokemon just doesn't do anything because he can just like get absolutely destroyed by that Fairy type. Because like Fighting and Dark are both resisted by Fairy, and even if he has like a good coverage move, you'll like beat one Fairy type but then lose to another one. It's pretty sad. And that's just the state of fighting in general. You gotta run as much as you can to like cover all of your matchups. But like you can't do it all. And sometimes, like, depending on the matchup you're fishing for, you gotta use certain Pokemon. And SCRAFTY is definitely one of those Pokemon, one of the more niche Pokemon you use to like check a certain matchup. So if there's like an obnoxious Psychic type, like for example if you're going against a guy who uses Grass but doesn't use Whimsicott, yeah, break SCRAFTY if you're going to use fighting, because SCRAFTY not only sets up on like the entire team without Whimsicott being there, but like he also like kinda destroys the defensive core pretty well. As you saw in that last match, it could have just absolutely swept through the entire team if it wasn't for Celebi and Whimsicott. And also, it's just really solid in general. So yeah, SCRAFTY, very good Pokemon. I would say maybe rank it C, maybe, but don't have to. It's definitely still worthy of D rank because of its huge, immense flaws, like the fact that it needs the setup, the fact that it needs screen support in order to actually work. But I do feel like this Pokemon definitely is not as bad as Pangoro, and might be better and less niche than some of the other Pokemon on the type. But it's not up to me to decide, but maybe you can use this video to kind of show like why SCRAFTY is actually not that terrible. But yeah, we'll leave your opinions in the comments below. If you have anything to say to me, leave it in the comments, subscribe for more if you liked it, and have a good day, everyone.